rising through the haze. Global watchmen lighting up the maze. They don't flinch, they don't fold, digging deep, breaking the mold. True patrol on digital ground, every whisper, every sound. Hey, eyes on the truth, no turning away. Global watchmen shining through the gray, from the shadows to the screen. They decode what the silence means. Click subscribe, let the veil be torn. This is the news we've been waiting for. Turning away. Global watchmen leading the way. Every story, every thread, for the living and the misled. Raise your voice, let the signal soar. This is the news we've been waiting for.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you're in the live chat, we do ask to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know we go live. So good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to see you guys. I am really enjoying doing the morning shows. I don't know. I kind of like starting my day like this, and so we may continue with morning shows indefinitely. I don't know. Kind of makes it easier on me because I'm usually home alone during the morning hours, and I don't have to rush back from work at any special time if I'm going to be here alone. If Dave's home, well, then I don't have to leave him downstairs to defend for himself while I'm up here doing my shows. So it kind of works out good. But anyways, so I hope you guys caught yesterday's or last night's broadcast about going to the Chicago ICE Detention Center, because I am going to follow through with those phone calls. Like I said, I am going to get somebody on the phone, and I will make sure that I record the telephone conversation. And to see if we can get maybe auditors in there, because I do think that that's probably the best and least, I don't know, what do I want to say, least intrusive, or I don't care of being intrusive, but I think that's the least inconvenience for anybody. I mean, to put somebody in there even a couple hours a day to observe, because I do believe that keeps people honest. Transparency definitely keeps people honest. So I will follow through with that. But I wanted to talk to you guys because this kind of goes along with it. So we've heard in the last, since Trump has been putting his troops into the cities. He started with Washington, D.C., and now he's come up to Chicago. We've heard the words Insurrection Act being thrown around. And here's the thing. I believe that Trump is a Trojan horse. I believe, and I've said this all along, and you can ask my husband, I've said this. Trump's first presidency was to gain our trust. This is going to be the one that's going to shape the future of this country, maybe even the world. If Trump were to enact the Insurrection Act, it opens the doors for a lot of bad things. Let's take a look at what the Insurrection Act. So the Insurrection Act authorizes the president to deploy military forces inside the United States. And it can be used to suppress rebellion or domestic violence, to enforce the laws in certain situations. The statute implements Congress's authority under the Constitution to provide for the calling of the militia to execute the laws of the Union, to suppress insurrections, and to repel invasions. Its primary exception to posse comitatus, under which federal military forces are generally barred from participating in civilian law enforcement activities. This, if he were to, right now, the only thing holding back the military from going into these cities full force is the posse comitatus. Posse comitatus forbids the use of American military on its own people, with the exception of the National Guard. The National Guard, that's why we hear of the National Guard going into places, into cities, into natural disaster areas, is because they are allowed to interact with the American people. They are allowed to uphold the laws, to work as the police force. They're allowed to do that. But under the umbrella of posse comitatus, the military, it stops. It essentially stops the president from having the authority to use the military as a weapon against the American people. The founding fathers, they knew, they had discernment, they had foreshadowing, they knew what could possibly come, and they pretty much covered a lot of it, or most of it, or all of it in the Constitution. They put into place guidelines, they put into place protections for the people. Posse comitatus was one of those. But the Insurrection Act nullifies posse comitatus. And it's only really supposed to be used, like I just said, in an insurrection. And I'm not talking about January insurrection, because we know that was not an insurrection. I think the left used that word as a way to desensitize. That was not an insurrection. An insurrection would be if criminals or gang members or whatever took over the city. I would say an insurrection was what we saw out in, I think it was Portland, when they had the autonomous zone, when that person or those people took over that entire, like, I don't know, was it 5, 6, 7 blocks, cornered it off, made their own laws, had their own leader, the autonomous zone. Remember that? That right there was an insurrection. Or the beginnings of one. Oh, I have blue nose. Sorry. I'm going to pull my nose on camera or on live stream. Insurrection is really not what we're seeing right now. What we're seeing right now is pushback from these Democratic governors, these Democratic mayors, which, I mean, is to be expected. When you're a leader of something and somebody tells you that you're doing it wrong, you have a tendency to defend yourself. Okay? I've come to look at things differently. I've come to look at things through different perspectives. I used to look at things from a left, right, or a good, bad, or a black and white perspective, but I've stopped doing that. And I look at things for what they are at that moment. And I do see, now I don't defend, and I don't take this the wrong way, I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying that, if I was in charge, if I was the mayor of Chicago, if I was the governor of Illinois, and somebody told me that I'm doing my job wrong, I would defend myself. It's natural. And that's what Brandon Johnson and that's what J.B. Pritzker are doing. So when Trump is threatening this Insurrection Act, it's pretty much saying, look, my way or the highway. Trump is not about compromise. Never has been. What we're seeing right now with him sending in these National Guard into the cities is soft martial law. It's like when you allow something to come into your life and pretty much it starts taking over, and before you realize it, it's front and center. That's kind of what this is. He just knows that he has to get his foot in the door, is what he's done. The Insurrection Act, like I said, it authorized the president to deploy military forces inside the United States and to suppress this, the article, it's calling it domestic violence, but in reality, it's, I don't consider it, I guess it would be considered domestic violence, but it's also to enforce certain laws in certain situations. And right now, the laws that he's sending them in to enforce is our I'm having a brain fart. Immigration laws. Sorry. Wow. He's putting them in there to enforce our immigration laws. Again, getting the foot in the door. Now, the Insurrection Act also mentions the word militia. And it allows the militia to go in and execute the laws of the Union. Those are the words. Quote, provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. The Constitution gives certain protection to militia. Militia are the private military. We see them a lot down in Texas. The militia has been labeled by the FBI and by a lot of people as domestic terrorists. Why is that? Because they know that the militia, which is usually, well, not usually, it's made up of conservative Republicans, veterans. I don't really know of any Democrat, liberal, communist that's a member, did I say that out loud? That's a member of a militia. So of course, they're going to be deemed the enemy of a corrupt government. But that's what the Constitution says. Again, posse comitatus is the only thing that holds them back from complete dominance over the people. And if he implements the Insurrection Act, posse comitatus is null and void. The provisions of the Insurrection Act, you can find that in sections 251 and 255 of Title 10 of the United States Code. If you guys want to look it up. I've done a lot of research on this. So, under normal circumstances, the Posse Comitatus Act, like I said, forbids the U.S. military, including federal armed forces, from taking part in civilian enforcement. It prohibits the traditional views of military interference in civilian government because that's inherently dangerous to our liberty. Now, invoking the Insurrection Act temporarily suspends posse comitatus rule and allows the president to deploy the military to assist civilian authorities with law enforcement. That might invoke soldiers, do anything from enforcing federal court orders to suppressing an uprising against the government. Now, of course, not every domestic use of military involves law enforcement. Other laws that they can take forth in is what's called the Stafford Act. And that allows the military to be used to respond to natural disasters, like I said, public health crisis, other similar events, without waiving the restrictions of posse comitatus. So in theory, the Insurrection Act should be used only in a crisis that is truly beyond the capacity of civilian authorities to manage. There's a problem, though. The Insurrection Act fails to adequately define or limit when it may be used, and instead gives the president significant power to decide when and where it can be used domestically. When can the president invoke the act? Well, troops can be deployed under 3 sections of the Insurrection Act. Now, each of these sections is designed for a different set of situations. Unfortunately, the law requirements are poorly explained and, again, leaves it virtually up to the discretion of the president. Now, Section 251 allows the president to deploy troops if the state's legislature or governor requests federal aid to suppress an insurrection in that state. And this provision is the oldest part of the law and the one that has the most is most often invoked. Section 251 requires the state's consent, but sections 252 and 253 allow the president to deploy troops without the request from the state, even against the state's wishes. Section 252 permits deployment in order to enforce the laws of the United States or to suppress rebellion, whatever unlawful obstructions, combinations, or implications to enforce the law in that state. Section 253 has 2 parts. The first allows the president to use the military in the state to suppress any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination of the 2, or conspiracy, and so hinders the execution of the laws that any portion of the state's inhabitants are deprived of, or a constitutional right the state authorities are unable or unwilling to protect against. President Eisenhower and Kennedy relied on this provision to deploy troops to the schools in the South after the Supreme Court's landmark decision, Brown versus the Board of Education. Both of those presidents did send the U.S. military down there during the civil rights. In Section 253, it also permits the president to deploy troops to suppress, quote, any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy in a state that, quote, oppresses or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States or impedes the course of justice under those laws. This provision is so broad, okay, that it is impossible. It cannot possibly mean what it says. Or else it authorizes the president to use the military against any 2 people conspiring to break the law. That's how broad spectrum this whole thing is. Nothing in the insurrection text defines insurrection, defines rebellion, or defines domestic violence, or any other key terms used in putting forth the prerequisites for the deployment. This oversight, I guess you would say, the Supreme Court decided early on that this question is for the president to decide alone. In 1827, the case of Martin versus Mott, the court ruled that the authority to decide whether a situation required the militia to be called out belongs exclusively to the president. And his decisions are conclusive upon any other person. That means that courts can't review, they cannot review the president's decision to deploy these, to deploy the military. The court has suggested that they can step in if the president acts in bad faith or exceeds a permissible range of honest judgment, or makes obvious mistakes, or acts in a way totally unauthorized by law. But again, there's nothing put forth in those laws that says that they can do anything about it. They can question it, but they can't really do anything about it, because this gives him complete and autonomous control. Rick had mentioned in the chat that the Insurrection Act is actual another word for military or for martial law. The Insurrection Act does not authorize martial law because the term martial law has no established definition in the court system. It's generally understood as a power that allows the military to take over the role of civilian government in an emergency. And the Insurrection Act does generally permit the military to do this. But it says that they can go in and they can assist civilian authorities, not completely take over. Contrary to what people think, under the current law, the president has no authority to declare martial law. He cannot deem anything, everything. He cannot declare everything under the Constitution null and void. That has to come from Congress. Congress is the only one that can completely and totally suppress the Constitution. That's the only thing really holding the president back, is that one little thing that's written in the fine print. Let me share my screen with you guys. Oops. Here we go. The sinister reason Trump is itching to invoke the Insurrection Act. So now that we've established what the Insurrection Act is and is not, let's take a look at this. The sinister reason why Trump is itching to invoke the Insurrection Act. In authoritarian's dream, the Insurrection Act is ripe for abuse. The Trump's cabinet is already setting up for this justification to use it. President Donald Trump teased a dangerous escalation on Monday afternoon, threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act to send military forces to U.S. cities should pesky judges and state leaders continue to thwart his ambitions to assault and occupy blue states. Now, I'm gonna warn you beforehand that this article is completely from the right, okay? But I wanted to give you guys a different, like I said, I'm looking at this from all points, all perspectives, okay? Because at this regarding this topic, I believe the right has the only logical explanation of it. And again, I'm not left or right. I am a conservative. If I had to put something down as a label, I would have to put Republican, because I do not want to be associated with the left at all, or their ideologies. But I'm trying to stay away from the left or right. But in order to convey what I'm saying to you guys, I have to define it. So this That being said, this is completely from the left. We have an Insurrection Act for a reason, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office. If I had to enact it, I'd do it. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors was holding us up. Trump noted that he did not see an immediate need to invoke the federal law. His comments, though, make it clear the shape of his authoritarian plans to dispatch the military to liberal American cities after a federal judge blocked him from sending troops to Portland, Oregon. Like so many of Trump's regime power grabs, the threat is both shocking and predictable. He badly wants to use it. Trump's interest in the Insurrection Act is hardly new. He's toyed with invoking the law in his first term, which he did. Because yesterday when we were talking to Levi, and I had mentioned the Insurrection Act, he had mentioned, he goes, well, Trump has been throwing that around for a while. And he has. Why? Of any other president, have we ever heard any other president threaten like that? He was itching to use it to send the military to crash the 2020 George Floyd uprisings, but he faced opposition at the time by then Defense Secretary Mark Esper. No such problem for the president with loyalist goon Pete Hegseth in the so-called Secretary of War position, which is true. Trump is surrounding himself literally with yes men all over the place. He will not get any pushback really from anybody in his cabinet. Trump allies called on the president to invoke the law to illegally hold onto power after the 2020 election. That's not true. Not totally. And now in his second term, Trump aides and advisors have been clearly setting up for justification for invoking the law, softening up MAGA adherents to accept yet another shocking dictatorial move from the president. It's no accident, after all, that members of Trump's cabinet have repeatedly used the term insurrection and insurrectionists to define the protesters standing up to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Gestapo-style operations. And Stephen Miller, the ghoulish architect of Trump's deportation machine, described the Oregon judge's rule as illegal insurrection. That's the reason why I wanted to read this article with you, because I wanted to show you that these terms are being used. It says the Trump administration is following a playbook: cause chaos, create fear and confusion, make it seem like peaceful protesters are a mob by firing gas pellets and tear gas canisters at them. J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, where Trump's stormtroopers are already wreaking havoc in Chicago, said on Monday, why? To create the pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act so that he can send in the military into our city. All right, guys, let's take a look at this. Take a look at this. It says that the Trump administration is following a playbook, causing chaos to create fear and confusion, making it seem like peaceful protesters are a mob by firing gas pellets and tear gas canisters at them. Now, yesterday when we talked to Levi, he had said that over the weekend that they had deployed tear gas in the parking lot and then opened up the gates and they kind of stormed the people. Why? You saw what I saw yesterday. And I'm going to hold back my final judgment on what's going on there until I see for myself what the weekend holds. Because I am going back there this weekend. But it says that Trump's stormtroopers are already wreaking havoc in Chicago. Where? Where are they wreaking havoc? I've said for the last, I don't know, I travel the city all around. Going there yesterday was the first time I've seen an ICE agent. Going there yesterday was the first time I had seen any sort of out of the ordinary police presence. And there was how many protesters were there? I think there was 5 with Levi. And I think I saw another maybe 4 or 5 on the other side of the building who were just standing there. They had signs, but they were on the ground. And if you want to see those, you can go back and you can watch the. Actually, you can't. I will make the video public over on the other channel, and I'll post it over on this channel so you guys can watch it. It's mostly me driving to the facility, but once I get to the facility area, I do drive by these people and I point them out. So, I mean, to remain, like I said, transparent, I will put the whole video up for you guys. But this right here, there's no stormtroopers. There's nothing wreaking havoc. The only thing wreaking havoc here in Chicago are criminals. Is the crime statistics. That's wreaking havoc. On the Dan Ryan the other day, a patch of roadway I take all the time, somebody was killed because somebody dropped something from an overpass. The Dan Ryan is closed all the time in the middle of the night, maybe two times a week for shootings. For somebody actually getting killed driving on the Dan Ryan. That's what's causing havoc in our city. It goes on to talk about the Insurrection Act, which I just covered with you guys. Oh, okay. So I'm going to put this up on the. It says a lot of protesters are paid protesters. Did you notice they were both wearing all blue? Yeah, whatever. I don't care what they're wearing. I'm sure a lot of these people, like I said, there was maybe 10. 10 isn't even a high number. I don't even think there was 10 there yesterday. And you heard, we were talking to Levi. He was very well versed. He spoke very out. I mean, he knows what he was talking about. So, I mean, we know the definition. We know that they produce the chaos. It's the Hegelian dialectic. We've seen it every single time something happens. Nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing happens by happenstance. There's no such thing. Not when it comes to politics. They create the problem, cause the chaos. They manipulate the reaction. And then they give the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. The Hegelian dialectic. We see it all the time. What should be on our minds? What should be on our minds is how they'll take this to the next level. And knowing the Hegelian dialectic by them causing the problem, what will they do? What will they use as justification for implementing the Insurrection Act? Let's not forget, we still have Club K in our harbors. Club K, the projectiles that are disguised as shipping containers. Remember that? They're still there. Let's not forget that after the Soviet Union fell, radioactive material went missing. Never been found. We know for a fact that there are suitcases in every single major city in the United States, along with sleeper cells. If you watch social media, you know that Muslim extremists are getting ballsy here in the United States. Remember what happened on 9/11. Remember what they did. And remember what happened afterwards. 9/11 caused the American people such trauma that when they put forth the Patriot Act, we didn't even think about it. We were so traumatized that we were like, do whatever you got to do to protect us, to make us safe again. And they took away so much of our freedoms with the Patriot Act. And that was just one thing in one city. Can you imagine if they were to do something to that extreme? I don't know, 2 or 3 cities? 4 or 5 cities? Well, how do you think people would react then? Everybody keeps talking about this AI3 Atlas, whatever's coming in, and Project Bluebeam, and alien, what do I say? Alien, whoops, hold on just a minute for me.
Go through them all because there was a lot of them, and yeah, they're missing one bill with 2 POs on it. So I had to go back in the office, and they said, "Yeah, we received those 2," and I said, "I don't have the bill." And all the receivers at lunch.
Okay.
He gets back at 1:15, but I can email you the copy. I'm not taking any chances. I'm sitting out in the truck, and I'm not leaving here until I get that email. I'm not sending anything to the broker to confuse them. I'm still on detention, and I got the macro point showing that I'm still here. And supposedly, they pay $40 an hour after 3, and I should get them for another 3 for $120.
Okay. All right.
So I will let you know when I am empty.
Sounds good.
And I'm rolling out of this stupid fucked up place.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I muted. Anyway, sorry, that was my husband. He's working. Okay, so, and I hold on a second. I have to, just give me a second. Back with my dispatching job with him. So let me write this down, what time it is. Okay. All right. So, I don't remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about, guys? I'm sorry. I apologize. So I think I was talking about if something happened in the different cities. So we have to, Atlas. We're talking about Atlas. Okay. So, we hear a lot about alien, disclosure. That's what we were talking about. So that's a distraction, guys. Okay. It's a complete distraction. I love how on social media we are seeing quote unquote pictures of this thing. The Webb telescope has taken these fantastic pictures, and they show AI images of it, and people are buying it. Guys, go! Oh my God! Don't fall, don't trip. Just go to the comments and look at the comments. And I've got to tell you something. People are going to be deceived like no other. Like no other. These people believe these AI images that are being put out there. And that is so scary. I don't know if it's discernment or I don't know what it is, but these people lack it. They truly do. The Bible says that even if the elect could be deceived, they will be. Again, I've said this a couple of times during my live streams. It breaks my heart to see the number of people that I respected at one time, that I looked up to, as far as in the, and I don't want to say truther community because that's not even a thing anymore, but the people that do what we do, what I do, people that come on and put themselves out there and broadcast things or post things or, take the time out to research. Those people, man, are giving those people that, like myself, which I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a fringe thinker, but they're giving us a bad name. Truly are. Because, man, some of the things that they're putting out there, you just want to reach through your screen and shake them. Really do. They shake the shit right out of them. Like I said, I'm going to go back to the detention center this weekend. I'm not sure when. Probably Sunday. I don't know. No. Right. I don't know yet. I don't know what day, but I will. I can't even trust funny animal. I know. You can't even trust animal videos. Everything is AI. I'm telling you guys. And in the past year, oh my God, my eyes itch so bad. In the past year, the AI, not only images, but videos have gotten so good. They've upped their quality to the point where it's scary. Okay, and this is what's scary, is the fact that and it's already happened. If something were to happen in one of the cities, if something were to take place, and I'm telling you, it'll be a false flag. Now, remember, false flag doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean nobody died. False flag just means that the official narrative is manipulative. That's what a false flag is. It's something happened. People died. But they're telling us one thing, and it's most likely another. So whatever happens is going to be manipulated. It's going to be pre-planned. It's going to happen. It's going to have the desired effect. They're going to twist the response, the way we feel about it. The way we feel about it. And it can happen anywhere. It can happen here in the United States. It could happen in the Middle East. It could happen in the Ukraine. It could happen in Mexico. There are so many volatile situations happening right now. It's hard to keep track of them all. It's hard to watch them all, and it's hard to decipher, what's going on. I could probably sit here at my desk all day and maybe keep up with things and maybe get an idea of what's going on and what's going to happen or what's happening. But I wouldn't get any work done. I wouldn't, and that's not my priority anymore. Used to be. This channel used to be my priority. Unfortunately, it's not anymore. My family is, which is what it should have been all along. Like I said, I look at things a little differently now than I did a year ago. And I think other people should do that too. I think our priorities have gotten fucked up. It should be God, family, country, and then everything else. If you look at your priorities and they're not those in that order, check yourself. Take a step back and say, what am I doing to stop myself from putting God first, and then my family, and then my country? What is preventing me from doing those things in that order? And if there's something standing in your way, whether it's something you love or not, things have to change. That's why I'm not going to set in stone when we're going to have our broadcasts. Because I do have different priorities. And when my husband's home, he's a priority. That's why I think doing these in the morning is going to work out pretty good. Unless, of course, he's home. And then, well, I'll post on Facebook. But and I do appreciate you guys for all your support, especially over this last year. Because I didn't even realize when I came back to doing this that I had been gone almost a year. Crazy. Time just flew by. Actually, I think it was a year. I don't think because it was 10 months when I came back home, and I didn't come right back on and start doing this right away. So, but don't be deceived, guys. Pray for discernment. Pray that God shows you what is happening, the truth. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you hear. And God, don't believe the things that you see on social media, especially from websites or social media pages that disguise themselves as factual. And by this, I mean, there's a certain page. Let me see. New time. Hold on just a minute. I might have blocked the page. Or they may have blocked me because I pretty much blasted them every time. But they were posting up AI images that were they put out there as being true, as being factual, as being real, and they weren't. Good Lord. I mean, just looking at them, you could see. Yeah, I think I blocked them, or they blocked. No, they blocked me. I didn't block them. They blocked me. I'll have to go on my other account and see what it is, and I will give you guys a heads up on it. Because wow, they were. But like I said, go to the comments, read the comments on things like that, because you'll see that people actually believe it all, and it's crazy. So beware, y'all. All right, I'm gonna get off here. It's noon. I have to be online at 1 o'clock. I've got 3 scheduled pickups today to the airports. So I will talk with you all, and I'm gonna get my car washed first. So I will talk with you all later. All right, you guys have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Until next time, remember, eyes open, no fear.